Battle Cats is the perfect game. It is everything a modern game could ask for. Battles, cats, battles, sex appeal. No, the other one. There it is! In a world where grandmas across the globe are being jump scared by flying gorilla ads every 5 seconds, Battle Cats has no such weakness. At a time when every quote-unquote free game hooks you in with a sexy trailer, only for the gameplay to be nothing more than waving a pendulum and whispering, "Ooh, you will max out your parents' credit card to buy gems, ooh." Battle Cats can be beaten for free if you're better than me. So what is it exactly that allows Battle Cats to rise above the rest? In order to best answer this question, I'll be breaking down my argument into 4 main points. These are objective attributes that necessarily affect the quality of any game. Story, gameplay, mechanics, and whether or not I'm being paid to promote something. With that being said, let's start where the start starts. The start of the story. The base game is deceptively simple. Catkind has decided that they had enough of being forced to wear funny sweaters and decided to start a revolution. The fighting begins in Japan. One lone cat emerged from its base, determined to claim the nation. But alas, a hostile doge wishes to defend humanity and anime production. It is a tough fight. The cats needed to call backup, but the new friends emerged from the fight alive and with their newfound treasure in hand. From there, they begin to steamroll the world. Mongolia, Korea, Thailand, China, not Taiwan though, because their people live under the glorious leadership of the CCP. Unless you're watching this from Taiwan, in which case this is a great injustice, and I'm highly insulted by this game. Speaking of centrism, the central point of the gameplay is to pick up more cats to add to your army as you progress. First, it's a friendly long cat, and then a not-so-friendly British cat. Likewise, the enemies get stronger and more varied the further in you go. Where Japan introduces doges, the glorious state of unified Saudi Arabia uses hippos. The simplicity of the story is what makes it so great. It really just boils down to going from one place to another fighting enemies. That's it, at least at first. This game is kind of like the Cold War, or any post on a Reddit board, constantly spiraling out of control the longer it goes on. I swear, this is what conservatives were talking about back in the day. First you accept gay people, then trans people, and then boom, giant face. Truly the West has fallen. Seriously. Over the course of a few levels, the main objective of this game goes from funny little goofballs taking over the world to learning about the horrors of war. The first chapter ends with the cats conquering the moon, and then you get to do it all over again. Twice, each time with stronger and stranger enemies. Then when you think it's over, the cats invade the future. Once that's settled, you do it again, twice. Then you invade the cosmos to fight God, like any other Japanese game, honestly. And guess what you do after that? Cry, because it is over. Or do it again, twice. The simplicity of the base story masks the absolute insanity of everything else. I'm not even going into the fact that there's also zombie invasions, alternate demon dimensions, over 80 sub-chapters, and whatever this thing is. Honestly, this style of storytelling is a great strategy that I use in my own videos. Open with the jokes about funny animals so that by 5 minutes in, you could get away with discussing the ethics of child labor. Really, this game developer represents everything that child laborers don't have. Freedom. And nowhere is that more pronounced than the gameplay. It's fairly standard. You can gain money over time and either use that to purchase cats that you have set on your deck, or upgrade your wallet to make money faster. Most people recommend having a deck with 1 to 4 cheap meat shields to protect higher cost range attackers. I am not most people. Yes, my children kill. I have become deaf. Destroyer of this idiot in particular. This brings me to a real interesting part. The gacha system. While it's most commonly associated with Asian video games and people with no lives, gacha basically means gambling with in-game money for characters. Normally I would hate this because games with this system are predatory. Genshin Impact, for example, locks all of its best characters and half of the cast behind a 0.5% drop chance. And even when you get the character, there seems to be a 50-50 chance between it being a useless duplicate or a predator. Wait, no, sorry, I read the script wrong. Being unlocked by a predator. Battle Cats is quite the sugar daddy when it comes to that kind of stuff. Sure, legend rares are 1 in 300, but most of them aren't even that good. And besides, that's only like 6 out of the over 700 cats. I would give you a real number, but the wiki just says over 700, so my guess is somewhere between 701, and I never actually finished writing this joke in the script, so here's something I found mildly funny. The real heavy hitters, uber rares, only have a 5% drop chance, but every week or so during Epic Fest or Superfest, that rate is doubled to 10%. Plus, certain banners have guaranteed ubers on roll, and some events guarantee an uber from any banner that's active. Just to give you an idea, I've been playing on and off for about half a year now, and I am on roll 375 with 60 tickets in my bank. If all that isn't enough, you can track your game seeds to know exactly what your rolls will be and how to manipulate them. I've heard people argue that it takes the fun out of the game, but if my options are to struggle and be happy, I'd rather be sad as I call down an orbital strike. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the combat. Certain enemies have certain traits. Red is red, black is black, green is an abomination, and so on and so forth. Traits have certain general attributes that apply to every enemy of the type. Zombies, for example, will dig past the front line and revive itself once. Every Haku enemy has a shield, Sword aliens have a barrier, black and red enemies are faster but take more knockback, and floating enemies aren't in the game enough for me to bother talking about. On top of these traits, each enemy has unique properties. Face enemies are generally slow attackers with a devastating bite, while metal enemies all have low health but only take 1 damage from even the divine judgment of God. Once again, proving that losing both my arms and legs to become a PNG character was worth it to escape my many unspeakable crimes. All this complexity leaves the game with extreme flexibility with how they design stages. A lone cyclone, for example, devastates ranged attackers but is completely defenseless if you could slip into its blind spot with a rusher. But throw Bojack Horseman into the mix and Ponos gets 1 less player. Specifically me, I'm talking about me. Take this out of the game now. This is only compounded by the fact that your own cat units possess abilities that target traits. There's honestly way too many to even begin to go over, so I'll just stick with the ones I find the most interesting. Cameraman Cat would be pretty average because of her middling stats, but because she is strong against floating enemies, she takes half the damage and deals double in return, giving her a useful niche. On top of that, her ability Survive lets her tank a hit that would otherwise kill her. The only thing better than surviving a hit, though, is never dying. Modern Cat, on top of somehow being the creepiest looking cat by virtue of actually looking normal, is resistant to metal and relic enemies, meaning even though it only has 11,000 health, it takes 1/5 of the damage from those traits. Then when it evolves, it becomes insanely resistant. That's not my description, that's the actual name of the ability that reduces the damage to 1/7 of its original strength. If I were to describe how strong this ability is in my own words, I would be banned from YouTube. Offensive abilities include Strengthen, Weaken, Curse, Freeze, Slow, Death, and so on and so forth. What's incredibly interesting to me is that the duration and strength of these effects depend on the cat and can cancel out similar effects. That means you actually need to put a lot of thought into your team composition, because if you have 2 cats with the weaken effect, they could operate extremely differently. For example, I have a cat that weakens an enemy to 1% of their strength every 10 seconds. I wouldn't want to also use a cat that weakens an area of enemies by only 15% every 3 seconds, or the weaker effect could override the better one in certain scenarios. This leads to a really complicated state of effect stacking, where basically you try to inflict the enemy with every disease known to man, where you have to rotate cats of the same effect as they die to get the most usage out of them, and tailor your team to whatever the enemy composition is. This also helps because it basically ensures that cats that are weaker but target multiple traits have more of a niche in levels with mixed traits compared to cats that are only really good against one type. So all that being said, there's actually a surprising amount of complexity behind team building in this game. Either that or you could just brute force it. That said, the game can get outright mean at times. Some stages are gimmicky or insanely difficult, or what is this? Why is this footage playing? This isn't— Whoa! What really makes this game fantastic is something incredibly rare in games nowadays: updates. When you first saw this thumbnail, you probably recognized Battle Cats as that one game every 12-year-old played for a week after their Fortnite craze, but before losing their innocence when they realized half the memes they shared were just poorly cropped adult videos. For any other game, that would pretty much be it, but Battle Cats kept chugging along, growing as the years went by. If you couldn't tell from all the stages I listed, just look at all their collabs for proof. Princess Punt, Mola Mola, Evangelion. I mean, I'm seriously on the edge of my seat here. I mean, what's next? Wolfenstein? What really amazes me is to think that it all started with a friend of mine, Cat. I'm just glad I got to sit and watch him grow over the years, you know? I even managed to teach him some tricks along the way. Just watch. Sit. No. Sit. Well, he did better than last time. If you like seeing cute animals fight each other, I know you'd like seeing them explode. That happens in my last video. Terraria, but every NPC is a worm. Take the catwalk over there or I'll come to your house and fight your cat. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. See all you dudes in the next video.